有一笔，哇塞！Um, I wanted to send it to this room. No. Yeah, crown. Don't crown. How people okay. The session is what's the measure? Yes. Yeah, that's what's the thing saying this let's see. Okay, that's okay. Okay, yes. I sent mine. Okay, let's see. It's massive. It's very sensitive. It's really it is. Okay. I'll try to send it. Something that's going on. And there's a perfect which. What do you say things like quick or something? Being and you get to do it. Yes, with really seeing each other. Okay. When I was construction. Yes. Please, release it. How about it? This transaction. What was on 316? This one? Yes. And take it to me. And yes, that's okay, send it twice. Yes. All the second one. All the second one. It's the same thing. The same thing, sir. This one's just entering now. Same thing. Yes, same thing, sir. Why does say your search? I think I'll have to say. No, same thing. We'll see. It's yours. No, he wants to say himself. What was the one then? What was the welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yo, Sam?
You
It's good. Yeah, for sure. Yes. Absence man. Yeah. Yes.
This one.
MNC.
This one.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the first one is more proud. The first one is for you know, like, the first one I opened is for you.
Yes.
And this is for the thing we have to so this is from my house.
You need to is it not
What do you think?
Well then, Marisha, yeah. It's Academy. Welcome. Yes. It's that's between. Thank you for sharing your home.
All right, this session is going to start. I mean, the thing I'm going to start. So whoever I choose from,
I thought it's going to be 3:45.
don't have videos. I'm open this. Whoever I choose from,
I'll watch this once.
I am maybe you check them or they just left.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ibola. May you speak? Mr. Ibola, can you speak?
Okay. Dr. Shekini Adibola, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, can you sir? Can you sir?
All right, thank you.
And then,
I need okay, I'll need this the other thing. I need your first question.
This additional 75%.
It even says it says which please presenting to this year. Please. Yeah, I showed them. I don't know explanation. I don't know the actual that should them something. I don't know what to grab. I know if I use it. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure. My kids, I don't know how long it's been. She don't have fun with this. Use my hour to be to say. I joined online. No, I am. So there's a reason for that. It's a reason for that. I this is
So, the next one is the team generation. This thing. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is 3:45, so you can continue the session. So, Mr. Kabur, what's your? All right. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, welcome to this panel of ours, themed multinational corporations and the economy of Lagos State. History, challenges, and changing patterns. This panel is supposed to be shared by Farouk Idowu-Boge, PhD. But I will be sharing this panel in his place, or I'll be sharing the panel in his place, or we are going to be alternating it depending on his availability. So this panel is consists of 5 presenters.
Good. Good.
All right, thank you. Sorry for the block. So it's supposed to be shared by Dr. Farouk Boge, but I will be sharing the panel alternatingly with him. And on this panel are 5 presenters. We have Pattern Nigeria, we have photography in the economy of Lagos, presented by Feyi Sharason de Omolola from the Mountaintop University. He is here present with us. And we also have Oyi Samuel Omiunu, Lagos State University. He's going to be representing Lebanese multinational corporations and the economy of Lagos State, 7-Up Bottling Company PLC in historical perspective. Also here on this panel is Theophilus Agofure Tabuke, also from Lagos State University. He's going to be representing Nestle Nigeria PLC and the beverage industry. And I also have here on this panel, he is joining us virtually, Dr. Ajibola Shamsuddin Shekoni. May I use this opportunity to congratulate you on your recent PhD conferment. Also, myself, Abdulkabir Muhammad, also from Lagos State University, I'm representing multinational corporations and the Nigerian shoes and leather industry, the rise, fall, and the rebirth of Bata Nigeria, 1932 to 2019. So here we also have Lagos textile industry transition, exit of multinational companies and local industrial growth. It was presented by Oluwambe Akinmoye, PhD, from the Mountaintop University, Nigeria. So you're all welcome, and I also welcome myself. Please, we urge the audience to please sit back and listen. Please kindly pay rapt attention. If you have any questions, comments, criticisms, kindly note it. Each presenter has 15 minutes to present their slides. And after all the presentations, we are going to have the comments and questions. So please, I also urge the presenters to seek with the time so that we don't go overboard. Thank you. So going first is Theophilus Agofure Tabuke from Lagos University, presenting Nestle Nigeria PLC and the beverage industry. Please, you can ask.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Children's Advocate from Lagos State University. Today, I will try my best to make this session. So today, I'll be sharing with you my research on the relevance of investing in Nigerian PLC, the Nigerian beverage subsector. For this task, I'll be dividing my presentation into 5 sections. And introductory section, understanding the Nigerian beverage subsector, NYC, the Nigerian beverage subsector, that's Nigeria, the Nigerian beverage subsector. I believe we all know the products and the produced by Nestle Nigeria. The Nestle Nigeria then found that it's strange to anyone of those stuff. So now going to the introduction. The central argument of this paper is that MNCs are key drivers of Nigeria's manufacturing sector, and its contribution and position Nigeria on the growth trajectory. From this section, I have come to the understanding that a sustainable economic profile can be attained through the tolerance of the operative presence of MNCs within the Nigerian economic market. In Nigeria, the food and beverage subsector can be identified as a part of the Nigerian manufacturing sector, and it has made significant contributions to the Nigerian macroeconomic culture preceding years and possesses the ability to make more the succeeding years. For an economy to strive, for it to grow, there must be sustainable practice of manufacturing for the satisfaction of both indigenous population and those outside the border. Nestle Nigeria PLC, as the focal point of our discussion, is a subsidiary of Nestle SA. From 1961 to 1970, it was specialized in the distribution of Nestle Holding Limited products within the Nigerian consumers market. By 1971, she has expanded in an industrial operation for the packaging of her bouillon products. Nestle as a brand infiltrated the Nigerian consumer market in 1961. And before it started operations under the name Nestle Manufacturers, it was formerly known as Nestle Products. But due to the indigenization policies of the 1970s, changed its name to Nestle Products Nigeria Limited. And by 2001, it became to Nestle Nigeria PLC that we all use. Our own vocal goals is a product of our ability to introduce high quality food products into the Nigerian consumer market, and also to cater to the diverse taste demand that feature this market. And now they'll look into the products that are well known concerning this topic. So they have 6 categories of food. We have beverages, dairy products, culinary products, confectionaries, infant nutrition, and wellness products. But for the purpose of our discussion, I will be focusing on our beverage producing segment. The Nigerian beverage subsector has made significant contributions to the sustainability of the Nigerian economy. This industry is involved in the production, distribution, and sales of liquids that are certified as suitable for human consumption. Produce of this industry ranges from non-alcoholic to alcoholic drinks. Non-alcoholic drinks include carbonated soft drinks, coffee, dairy-based drinks, plant-based drinks, juice, and water. While alcoholic drinks include beers, spirits, and wine. It's always advisable to be moderate in the consumption of these products, as excessive consumption can result in unintended damages. The major players within the formal sector of this industry include Nigerian bottling company, a franchise of Coca-Cola, 7-Up bottling company, Guinness Nigeria PLC, Homosido Nigeria Limited, and Chi Limited, etc. The relevance of this industry have taken the form of an improved stream of income for the Nigerian governing machinery, expanded employment opportunities for the teeming Nigerian population, tangible contribution to Nigerian development vision for economic diversification and growth, stimulation of profitable economic activities, generation of foreign exchange through the engagement in creative export trade, and raise standard of living. Now I'll look into the conceptualization of what is an MSc or what's the MSc. Remember of these scholars, Duni and Gunji, as they describe MSc as an enterprise that engages in foreign direct investment and own or control value-added activities in more than one country. This description identifies MNCs as key drivers of foreign direct investment with influence in more than one country. From a personal perspective, the multinational corporation can be identified as a relevant player within the global economic sphere that is actively involved in the production, distribution, and sales of economic value-added products or services operating in more than one country. Given the increasing nature of the establishment of a food processing system in the Nigerian market, different international business magnate have pivoted into this market with the expectation of an outstanding spike in their company's financial status. Three of them have been able to amass significant stake in this industry, as this is a product of lack of operational knowledge. Operational knowledge is the sense that when an MSc cannot apply proactive measures to bolster their industrial presence within the Nigerian market, that was a saying that operational wisdom. So what are the factors that attract MSc into the Nigerian industry? Number one of them, prime among them is the large market. With a large population signifies a pool of demand for their products. Another factor for this attraction is political stability, which is prevalent in Nigeria due to Nigeria's adoption of democratic system of government. Having that relevance of this industry in Nigeria, I would like to talk a little bit about the disadvantages of the presence of this MSc in Nigeria. Number one, prime among them is environmental degradation. Due to the presence of this company, they dispose of large emitters of environmental pollutants. So another exploitation of local workforce, as they have little or many interest in the welfare of their laborers. And profit repatriation to foreign country. Profit repatriation is one cause for fluctuating foreign exchange and erosion of local industry, as this leads to economic dependency. Nestle SA is a parent company of Nestle Nigeria PLC and its headquarters in Vivid, Switzerland. It boasts of an extensive international network of 479 factories in 81 countries. Nestle company started in 1867, following Nestle discovery of an improved infant food to tackle infant mortality, which was prevalent at that period. It became a multinational corporation in 1905 when she agreed to form a merger with Anglo-Swiss company. And this led to the formation of the Nestle and Anglo-Swiss Milk Company. Leading to the formation of this merger, she engaged in production and distribution activities in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The products well known to this company, the Nestle company, include liquid powder and liquid beverages, pet care, nutrition and health science, prepared dish, cooking aids, market products, and confectionaries. Prior to the establishment and operative presence of this company within Nigerian economic markets, many of our Nigerian consumers were not unfamiliar with our brand, as our products were imported into Nigeria alongside other brands by active trading mission in Nigeria. Subsequent expansionist efforts made by Nestle into the Nigerian industrial space include the construction of Agbara Manufacturing Complex in 1978. This manufacturing complex was specialized in the production of Maggi cubes in 1981, Milo in 1981, and Cerelac in 1982. Nestle Nigeria PLC is the manufacturer and distributor offering a range of high-quality beverage brands such as Milo, Pure Life, Nescafe, Cerelac, etc. Operational complexity can arise because of running a large-scale manufacturing business, leading to deteriorating financial performance. These complexities can be the product of unstable macroeconomics, infrastructural deficits, and unfavorable governmental policies. Recommendation and conclusion. Certain action must be taken to further promote MSC's profitability and long-term growth opportunities within Nigerian economic markets. This includes the prioritization of innovative efforts in the development of health-conscious products to meet evolving consumer preferences, addressing economic pressure by offering affordable packaging sizes and prices for protecting margins during economic volatility. Expansion of our distributive network into rural markets where competition is lighter through the development of cross-state distribution models. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for speaking to the time. So, my name is Abigail Muhammad from Lagos State University. I'll be presenting on multinational corporations and the Nigerian shoes and leather industry, the rise, fall, and the rebirth of Bata Nigeria, 1932 to 2019. Permit me to first of all seek your, should I say, forgiveness for the alteration in the topic or title of the paper. If you check the program in your hand, you realize there is an alteration. This was as a result of some limitations during the field work. You know that most of these companies, they are always afraid of their image. So because of issues of getting to interview people, I had to change the title. I was finally able to interview the team, actually. So the next slide, please. That's my abstract. And in the abstract, I looked at 4 or 5 things. I introduced briefly the article, the paper. I also talked about the aim of the paper. I also looked at literature review. I looked at research questions and also my research methodology. So you can see Bata Nigeria was one of several footwear companies permitting Nigeria's leather industry. And let me tell you that this Bata is a multinational company that grew from a family business that was established in 1894. But the company stepped into Nigeria in 1932 when it opened a retail store in Lagos, and subsequently it kept expanding. The aim of the research is to look at to historicize and analyze the impact of leather of other companies that are involved in leather production, leather and leather products production, because we've realized that there is loophole in the literature. Scholars often have on Aba industry, as if that is the only shoe industry in Nigeria. Although it's been long, it dated to the pre-colonial time, but that is not to say that there are no other companies, other industries, other manufacturers contributing immensely to the leather industry. So I also want to look at why did Bata come into Nigeria and why did they leave? Because at some point in time, they left Nigeria and they returned again. So they left Nigeria in the 1980s and they returned in 2019. Why did that happen? These are the things that we'll be looking at. At the next slide, please. So the methodology of my research is qualitative. I interpreted primary and secondary sources. I was able to interview the organization after a kind of ping pong between myself and the HR. Finally, I was able to talk to them. The next slide is conceptual analysis. Bata should not be misconceived as bata, the Yoruba term for footwear, and should also not be misconceived for bata, a drum in Yoruba, a drum that has been in existence since the pre-colonial time. So it is a name of a company that originated in Czechoslovakia in 1894, and it was established by three siblings: Thomas Bata, Anna Bata, and Anthony Bata. Also, I conceptualize multinational corporation briefly. In my works, I say they refer to companies that operate across countries with a home country from which other conglomerates emerged. And I also introduced Hill's conception of MNC, which I find to be quite apt. It demystified MNCs to include any business that has emphasis on productive activities in two or more countries, meaning that the mere existence of a company in another company does not qualify it to be a multinational company if the production process of its brand, of its product, is not being carried out in that country. So it should not be regarded as an MNC. And if you look at Bata, I said earlier that it started in Lagos 1932. At that time, it was just a retail store, was selling to the Nigerian consumers. It was in 1959 that it established a factory plant in Lagos, in Apapa, Lagos, which was commemorated by the then Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Leather industry. Leather industry is one of the longest surviving industries in the world. It has been in existence for a very long time. And several reports have attested to the fact that this leather industry, dated back to the 3000 BC. That's according to the United Nations report carried out in 1972. So the next slide, please. So for clarity's sake, these are products of leather. It's a leather products. Right there is leather shoes and bags at the left corner, the top left corner. At the top right corner, you can find leather bags there. At the center, leather bags, leather belts, leather wallets. So at the middle of the right-hand side is pure leather, tanned leather. Okay, that is not a finished leather. That's the term leather, is semi-finished leather. This is from this leather that you get things like shoes, wallets, leather belt, and what have you. The next slide, please. I try to historicize, I just look at the historical overview of shoe and leather industry in Nigeria, and I realized that this leather industry, Nigeria has the potential of utilizing the leather industry to impact its economy positively more than it is doing. Because Nigeria represents 46% and 18% of gold skin and pea skin resources in West Africa and Africa, respectively. So 46% of gold skin, 18% of gold skin and pea skin resources in Africa, 46% out of about 54 countries in Africa. But we are one of the countries that is not utilizing the leather industry due to some factors which will be discussed subsequently. There are several reports testifying to the potential of Nigeria's leather industry. And one of the things why Nigeria has the potential, one of the potential that Nigeria has is that Nigeria is home to thousands or millions of cattle, especially in the northern part of the country. Goats, crocodile, snakes. The hides and skins of these animals are used in the production of leather, and Nigeria has these things in bulk. The next slide, please. The rise of barter in the Nigerian shoes and leather industry. So it came into Nigeria in 1932. In 1935, it expanded its network to Kano to be able to source raw materials. By 1938, it already had 9 stores, including in Lagos, where it had 2, in Port Harcourt, Benin City, Onitsha, Calabar, Abeokuta, Kano, Ibadan, with having 1 each across those states, those cities. Next slide, please. So that testifies to the fact that barter had risen to a big extent in the Nigerian market. So I said by 1959 it established a factory plant in Lagos, and it was so big that the then Prime Minister was there to commission the project, and it employed thousands of Nigerians, producing 500,000 pairs of shoes annually, complementing other local industries. What are the factors that led to the rise of barter? Said colonial influence. Next slide. Because remember that the colonial masters, when they came to Nigeria and elsewhere, other colonies, where they went to, they tried to destabilize the industries of those countries so that they can turn those countries to raw materials producing countries can be used to satisfy the industries in Europe. So this affected local industries. These colonial policies affected local industries so much so that they could not compete with barter by the time barter came to Nigeria. A lack of modern equipment. Nigeria was not home to sophisticated equipment that were necessary for the production of leather goods. Population factor was another factor. Nigeria is one of the economic bases. Now it used to be first economic base of Africa. So that was another factor, home to millions of people. So they could sell their products in Nigeria and also export it overseas. So that led to the consistent expansion of their company. Geographic spread. They spread across significant places. They were not limited to Lagos, even though Lagos was the commercial and still the commercial capital of Nigeria. They didn't limit themselves to Lagos, but spread across geopolitical zones so that distribution process can be easy and faster. Product quality. Bata is reputable for products for good quality. So I interviewed so many people, and I was told that at that time, if you are wearing Bata, it means you are a privileged person. So Bata had maintained the monopoly over other local industries due to some of these factors that we mentioned and due to its high quality. He was collaborating with private organizations, especially schools. And that is what he was known for majorly. That Bata produces school shoes. And it had comparative advantage, sourcing of materials within Nigeria, and the cost of having to import overseas was not there. Having to import material overseas was not there. Significance of this country, of this MNC, that is Bata Nigeria now to the Nigerian market. Employment opportunities. They employ thousands of Nigerians. Skill transfer. Bata, just as other multinational corporations do, facilitated skill transfer in the Nigerian to the Nigerian workers, Nigerian youth, because when they want to employ an employee, such a person passes through trainings, hands-on training, so that they could handle the machines and be able to use it for production. So through that, Nigerians were having these skills. Urban development, revenue generation is an FDI, so it's also foreign direct investments for Nigeria. And it was facilitating exports, by that building Nigeria's efforts. Next slide. The decline of this company, even though Bata Nigeria had expanded significantly, some challenges led to a decline of this company, and it left Nigeria in the 1980s. These factors include national economic challenge. There was inflation during the 1980s, 90s. In fact, after the 1970s, due to the Civil War, and by the 1980s, the introduction of the SAP, Structural Adjustment Programs, impacted the economy negatively, that there was inflation. And so Bata could not gain profits the way it was gaining. There was decline in consumer capacity. Obviously, that's consequential of national economic challenges. There was poor energy infrastructure, which has remained till even to date. Poor transportation network. There were loopholes. There were always issues with the transportation, and that, in one way or the other, calls for insecurity, because these bandits and kidnappers could easily utilize the poor transportation network to to attack people on the highway, and there was the insecurity challenge too. So the next slide, I tried to give a chart showing Nigeria's inflation rate, and that chart was made by Very African. You can see by 1960 it was extremely low. By 1970, between 1970 and 1980, it was about 33-34%. By 1980s, between 1980s and 1990, it rose to about 53-54%. So this inflation trend affected the capacity of the people, the buying capacity. So they could not buy shoes the way they were buying it, and that affected Bata's operation. The next slide, please. Bata Nigeria, Zojin Projects Limited, Eribel. Now, having exited the Nigerian market in the 1980s, by 2019, Bata returned and established a power plant, a factory plant in Abuja. And the project was said to have cost $1 million. $1 million. That was huge. But this time around, it was, I'm looking at it now. This time around, it returned under the Zojin project. Zojin project was bought franchise from Bata to operate Bata in Nigeria. And that was in 2018, 2019. So the structure includes, they have a board that was headed by a managing director. They have management team. They have human resources departments. They have the sales department, the operations department, and the accounting and finance department. Since its return, it has expanded its presence to 2 states. Currently, Bata is operating in Abuja, Port Harcourt, that's South, and Enugu, Southeast. And the company currently produces school shoes, office shoes, sports shoes, leather belts. They are not majoring on shoes only. They now diversified into security boots, emphasis on security boots, because in the course of the interview, the sales manager told me that they have issues when I asked them what are the challenges they are facing. And that leads to the next slide. One of it is policy somersaults. So inconsistent policies, policy making in Nigeria. For instance, in 2019, the federal government, in the course of rejigging the Nigerian economy, they imposed ban on about 43 items. And the sales manager told me that some of the goods that they bought were parts, and so they could not gain access to these items. So policies like that affected or are affecting the company's operation. Diversification, the security boots, for instance, he said that the sales manager says that they have issues with leather quality. Okay, so and this is one of the areas that the government should intervene. How do we maintain leather quality? Remember, they manufacture leather products. They do not manufacture leather itself. Leather is manufactured from hides and skins. So there are locals who maintain that particular skin. So they said that because of beating cows, you can see the Fulani eating stick on cows, it affects the skin. And environmental issues, all those things affect the skin. So they have issues producing quality security boots. And so for that reason, in order to meet the consumer's demand and also maintain the repute of the organization, the reputation of the organization, they have to import some raw material, leather materials from abroad, quality ones, so that they can be able to produce quality security goods, which they have now diversified into presently. Inflation, insecurity, high levies, these are challenges facing the company currently. So conclusion, this research has been successful in exposing the importance of multinational companies to the Nigerian leather industry and economy at large. Using the Bata Nigeria Limited as a case study reiterated that MNCs facilitate employment opportunities, that has been demonstrated, revenue generation, skill transfer, consumer satisfaction, and technological advancement. Because the Nigerian population kept increasing every day. So the focusing or relying on other industry only and some local industry, which usually do not have modern equipment that can facilitate huge production. So technological advancement as well. However, bad policy somersault, insecurity, and inflation have been stumbling blocks against the realization of the company's potential, like every other MNC in Nigeria. And for these issues to be attended to, these recommendations are made that the government should enact sustainable policies. It should involve private stakeholders in the policy making framework. As a matter of fact, this was emphasized in doing the fieldwork by one of the team, the company's team. Creating an enabling environment for business to thrive, that is, improving the power supply. The electricity status in Nigeria is not to talk about, to write them about. And one of the complaints is that they have to buy fuel, and that costs a whole lot, especially during this time of a Naira collapse. Low interest rates, and as well as the government should also rejig the infrastructure systems, roads, and all of that. The government should stem the tide of insecurity to enable the unfettered distribution of leather products. And the local leather production process should be improved. Government should try to educate animal rearers, that is, the pastoralists, to know how to train these animals so that the skins and their hides can be useful for quality production. Thank you. So the next person to be presenting, I don't know, do you want to go first? Or you like decide? All right. I'd like to call Mr. Oyi Samuel Omiunu from Lagos State University to present on the third on his work. So you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I do hope you are having a lovely day. My topic, generally speaking, is Lebanese multinationals Lagos State, a case study of ceremony. Before I go into that, I thought about a student, a master's candidate at Lagos State University. This is an ongoing work because there are certain parts of the research I have not completed, but I will conclude as time moves on. So the basic thing about projects, or rather this topic, is that it tends to look at how the multinational, we know they are seven up bottling company PLC. How did it come about? What were the historical antecedents that brought about the acquisition of 7up, and why is it important as a multinational that is neither European in origin or African in origin? So it's more or less I was more or less taking a look at how individuals that are Asians, like Lebanese, what role have they played in the economic progress of Lagos State? Because the main reason I choose Lagos State was because when you talk about 7up, everything 7up related actually starts from Lagos State. Their first plant was created in 1959, 1960. It was created at Ijora. It's still there till date, and they have a lot of plants as well. So that's more or less what people are looking at. So next slide. So that's my outline. Objectives of research, introduction, Lebanese in Lagos, and social outlook, the creation of 7up Bottling Company PLC, and 7up Bottling Company and Lagos State Economic Community. Next slide, please. Next. So the objective of the research, first of all, is to explore the migratory pattern of the Lebanese in Lagos. The reason why it's important is because if you go to BI today, you discover that the Lebanese have a very strong and thriving community over them. Likewise, the Indians. The second one is to examine the impact of non-European and non-African business enterprise on the economy of Lagos State over time. So my research is more or less taking a look at what role has 7up played since it's not African, since it's not European. What role has it played in mediating between its consumers, which are obviously Africans and other people, and providing goods that will fit their needs at the moment? The third one is to explain the development of 7up. So we all know today that 7up is a PLC, which is a public limited liability company. But the major thing, it wasn't always that way. It was a private limited liability company initially, but it would change over time. So the next one is to look into the impact of 7up in terms of corporate social responsibility. Have they been able to affect the daily lives of individuals in Lagos State among others? Next slide. So first of all, this introduction takes a look at what multinationals are. So multinationals are known to be corporations that have an economic outreach beyond their borders. It is known that for a corporation to be tagged as multinational, such an economic concern should have a foothold in 2 or more countries. As such, multinationals are an extension of the economic dividend of globalization, bringing different parts of the world together in economic dependence. This is symbolic from the first multinational companies that emerged in the 17th century, which were the Dutch East Indian Company, that's 1600, and then British East Indian Company, which was 1603 thereabout. thereabouts. From this period till now, numerous multinational companies have emerged from different host countries. Lagos State, Nigeria is no exception to this fact. As such, there is a need to look into the homegrown multinationals that have contributed to economic changes within the scope of Lagos State. And 7-Up Bottling Company PLC is a good example of this fact. The focus on 7-Up actually comes from the fact that initially I had a discussion with an esteemed lecturer of mine. And initially my topic was India. So a lot of people think that they are Indians, but they do not know that 7-Up actually is a Lebanese company. And track the history of Nigeria, because the Lebanese they are not only found in Lagos State. They are found they are found as far as Kano. They are found as far as Kano. And they've done a whole lot in building up the spirit of entrepreneurship in Nigeria as a whole. So this next slide is Lebanese in Lagos. So the Lebanese diaspora in Lagos and by extension Nigeria is considered one of the largest Asiatic diasporic communities in Nigeria. Even today, we have what people we call Lebanese Nigerians. These are Lebanese people that are naturalized over time and have become Nigerians themselves. The Lebanese extend to other parts of Nigeria, i.e., Ibadan, Kano, among others. The thing here is that Ibadan was the second place that many of these Lebanese were found in Nigeria. That was the second place that actually was before they expanded to other areas. So the emergence of the Lebanese started in the 1890s on the basis of economic migration. According to Professor Tony Falola, in an article he wrote in 1990, he actually explained that many of these Lebanese individuals actually had the initial goal of getting to the United States. But because of the fact that they could not get there, owing to the fact that their transportation fare was not enough, among others, a lot of them actually reconciled with, okay, let us stay in West Africa. And one major thing, again, he explained was that the Lebanese community in Nigeria is the second largest Lebanese community in West Africa. Second largest Lebanese community in West Africa, among others. So the reason behind this Lebanese migration to West Africa can be seen through the lens of poverty, the quest for survival, underdevelopment, and tensions created by religion and politics. If anybody here follows Lebanese politics, we still find that the last cause, which is tension created by religion and politics, still playing out in their politics. The thing with the cause is that in the issue of poverty, at the time that they migrated, Lebanon was, or rather the place we know as Lebanon today, because it was not initially called Lebanon at the time. It was called Ottoman Syria. The place called Lebanon was under a place called Ottoman Syria. It was divided by the Europeans later on in the 20th century. That's where we have Lebanon today. So the issue of poverty was that the Ottoman Empire was declining, and this was affecting economic fortunes within Lebanon. And as a result of that, a lot of people saw the need to leave. A scholar known as Brian Windler, in an article he wrote in 1962 thereabout, explained that the Lebanese themselves actually migrated to three major areas. They migrated to the United States, Brazil, and West Africa. The reason why a lot of them wanted to go to the United States was that they considered it to be a land of opportunity. That was a lot of Lebanese. That was their initial one. But owing to several reasons, they landed in West Africa. In others. So the first Lebanese immigrant in Lagos, according to colonial records, as put forward by Professor Tony Falola, was Elias Kahori, who migrated into Lagos in 1890. This migration Elias Kauri actually came from a place in northern Lebanon called Mizriah. That's where it comes from. Comes from a place called Mizriah. And in Mizriah, there were a lot of poor families there. And as a result of that, he saw the need to leave and go, and he landed in Lagos. The place that they actually stayed was on the island. That was the place actually stayed. So he was the one that opened the door for migration to take place, that make people to come to Lagos. And another thing again, I think we should put into consideration here is that for this Lebanese immigrant, a lot of things came into play. The main reason why they wanted to come to Lagos was because of the economic enterprise. It's noted by Falola that when they started spreading in Nigeria, they avoided smaller towns. They were mostly going to big towns among them. So, and Elias Kauri was a Maronite. It's important to talk about, to make mention of the religious and ethnic application, because that plays a huge role in contemporary Lebanon as well. So at this point, colonial records called Lebanese immigrants, I mean from the late 19th century up to the 1930s, they called they called Lebanese immigrants Syrians because of Ottoman Syria. But it wasn't until the 1930s that it was changed to Lebanese. So, however, the Lebanese was crucial in setting up entrepreneurial establishment owing to support from the colonial government. Next slide, please. Actually, next slide, please. I should also state is that a lot of the Lebanese that we know today actually came to Lagos and other parts of Nigeria, and they mostly did two economic activities. They were engaged in trade and they were engaged in transport. That's the one. So the Seven Up Bottling Company was created in 1959, but started operation on October 1st, 1960. The reason why October 1st was chosen was because of it was Independence Day, and they felt, meaning Mohammed El Khalil is the patriarch of the El Khalil family that created Seven Up, as we know at the time. He felt that on that day there will be so much fancy, which will lead to people patronizing the goods as well. So Mohammed El Khalil was a Lebanese immigrant who entered Lagos in 1926, and this was after the First World. And this was at the time whereby the Lebanese community in Lagos and in Nigeria had started bubbling up in terms of their contribution to the economic life of Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. So he created a company known as El Khalil Transport, one of the biggest transportation companies in West Africa at the time, which later would lead to the creation of Seven Up Bottling Company in 1959. The transport company created, which is El Khalil Transport, would not be sold off until the 1980s. That company was still held by the family. In the 1970s, only to the indigenization decree by the Nigerian government. Seven Up Bottling Company started as a distribution body, launching its first site of operation at Ijora in Lagos State. At this time, many of the Lebanese they are left Victoria Island, the place is not there, Victoria Island, not Lagos Island, and they are started mixing into places in mainland. And one of the places that they were at was actually in Ikeja. Actually in Ikeja, places like Ikeja among others. So the next thing is that the Seven Up Bottling Company expanded with plants in Ibadan and Ikeja, which took place in the 1980s. And they currently have like 9 plants. The Seven Up Bottling Company was bought by Pepsi in the 1990s. It is important to note this because at this point, this was when they became a multinational. Because the brand that bought them, which is PepsiCo, was a multinational beverage brand. And when they purchased 7up, it meant that 7up could use Pepsi's franchise in Lagos as the sole proprietor. they couldn't share it anybody. They are the only ones that can produce Pepsi products in Nigeria. And till date, the El Khalid family still holds on to 72% of company. This purchase actually brought 7-Up into the limelight as a multinational corporation in the 2000s with the sale of Pepsi all over West Africa. And please, next slide. Next slide. So what have they done in terms of Lagos state economy? So the first one is industrial growth. They operate a major plant in Ijora and in Oregon Ikeja as well, which creates thousands of direct and indirect jobs, boosting manufacturing and local supply chains. It's estimated that the jobs that they created is more than 2,000. The jobs that they created is more than 2,000 jobs. So they've also done corporate social responsibility efforts, which is they donated 2 million drinks to people during COVID-19, and they supported health and welfare programs in partnership with Lagos State agencies. There's also environmental initiatives where they co-run Cash for Trash with La Cepa, which is a Lagos State concern, and promotes recycling and green education in Lagos schools. They also sponsor Celebration, which is a major cultural event in Lagos that takes place yearly, and provide refreshment and branding while promoting Lagos creative industry. They also back the Lagos City Marathon, which enhances tourism, hospitality, and community engagement. And also, they are part of the sponsors for the Pepsi Football Academy in Nigeria. They are part of the sponsors for that. Please, next slide. So the conclusion is that the evolution of 7-Up Bottling Company PLC over the years is a reflection of the resilience of the Lebanese community. The creation of the 7-Up Bottling Company PLC was born out of the need to create a homegrown substitute for external products that flooded the Nigerian beverage market. The creation of 7-Up actually came because he wanted Mohammed El Khalid wanted to contend with the Lebanese own Nigerian bottling company at that time. And in sorting for materials internally, they usually get most of their materials internally. 7-Up Bottling Committee has displayed faith in the internal economic potential of the Nigerians.
Thank you. Can you please share all of the presentations? Please permit me to go online now. Let us start with the presenter online. We have presenters already. So permit me to call on Dr. Ajibola Shamsidin Sheponi. So please proceed with his presentation. You now have the floor, sir. Can you hear us, Doc? Oh, sorry. Hello, Doc. Can you?
Mr. Ajibola, good afternoon. Can you hear us? Please unmute your mic. Please unmute your mic. Can you hear us? Yes.
Thank you so much for your kind consideration. I'm having electricity.
Can I come, sir, Doc?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. If you could please make your presentation in 10 minutes time, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you for the consideration because I'm having electricity challenge here. I appreciate a lot. So for the chair, I congratulate you for putting this panel together constructively. Thank you very much. And I also want to tell you that I appreciate you commending my PhD award. And I also want to tell you again that just 2 weeks ago, my wife delivered 2 bouncing baby boys. Thank you. So my topic is multinational cooperation in the economic landscape. I tried to make an amendment to the title, but unfortunately, it didn't appear on the abstract proceeding. So the main title is multinational corporations in the economic landscape. Then column, inferences for energy transition and climate mitigation in Lagos State. It is very important to note that this presentation we discuss on the roles of multinational corporations. So I'll be using the acronym of MNC in Lagos State, which focus on the contribution of its energy transition and climate mitigation as well. So this research employs qualitative and quantitative methods to analyze current situation, and also it identifies key trends and offer insights on future strategies that will be employed to transit from fossil fuel to clean energy transition in Lagos State, because it is evident that Lagos has a lot that can create that environment for the transition process. So for the quantitative method, I use government regulatory agency that are regulating the energy sector. I also discuss with the community members of areas where most of these multinational corporations are carrying out their daily activities. Industry experts and also academics was also employed. So for my data collection, I was able to gather data on energy consumption and GHG, that's greenhouse gas emission, and also the corporate social responsibility from public available reports, and also from the database of government, and also from the website of some of these multinational companies. Now, some of the key sectors was also interviewed, and the results of my research in the energy transition and climate mitigation efforts was in the area of oil and gas industries. Number one, major players like Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil, they have significant presence in contributing to both economic growth. Now, the thing is on two sides. They contribute to economic growth, and they also contribute to environmental challenges. So you will now be able to see where my argument lies. The activities of MNC in Lagos is contributing to economic growth, GDP boost in Lagos, but also leading to environmental challenges. Now, looking at, apart from the oil and gas sector, looking at the manufacturing sector, like companies that produce food and beverages, for instance, Unilever, Nestle, the pharmaceutical and consumer goods, they also make use of energy consumptions. What kind of energy are they for their production? In the quantitative findings, we begin to see most of these things. Also, telecommunication company like MTN, Airtel, they also have a very large footprint with significant energy demand, and they are also major energy consumers. The financial sector cannot also be put aside in the issue of why they don't even, there was no direct energy consumed, but their investment in decisions that can promote sustainable practices is something that was investigated in the course of this research. In the quantitative findings, it was said that the energy consumption, like the Lagos state as itself, they rely so much on fossil fuel for energy generation and industrial processing. And this has led to high carbon emissions. So now, for the renewable energy adoption, it is very simple. Solar power is still limited, despite gaining its own popularity as it is. From climate mitigation initiatives, some MNS have started implementing climate mitigation strategies, such as energy, waste reduction programs, and investment in energy. Purpose research is to understand the context in which multinational companies are initiating energy transition. So, example of MNS MSc initiating energy transition that I have done in the course of interviews and focus group discussion, I was able to establish several facts, and I have generated policy recommendation in this regard. Number one, my research in university area shows that they have created various sustainability initiatives, which include reducing carbon footprints. They have also been sourcing for sustainable palm oil, and they have been promoting water conservation. They have invested in every renewable energy project, but a lot of people don't know this. In my research to Dangote PLC, I discovered that Dangote, all the trucks that Dangote is using to transport its oil or all other goods and that it's producing, they are CNG. Many of those, in fact, all those trucks don't emit any carbon dioxide. They are carbon free. In the issue of MTN, I discovered that MTN has also invested in solar power.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Doc, sorry to interrupt you. You've got 3 minutes left. Got 3 minutes left, sir. You have 3 minutes.
The research is so robust, but I understand the fact that we have limited time. But let me quickly cut it short. Like the next to Nigeria also is that most of them are also, in fact, it should be established that most multinational corporations in Lagos State, they are already reducing their carbon footprint. And most of them, although the transition process that most of these multinational companies, that they are, the path that they are going, it might be quite different from other alternatives like biofuel, hydroelectricity that most Western countries has been employing. But the use of sustainable palm oil and also water conservation has also been very, very effective for their mitigation strategies. So I now use SWOT analysis in the course of my research to look at the opportunity, to be able to regulate some of these things. But I already see that there is high upfront costs because the initial investment in renewable energy can be very, very significantly high. But the long-term effect of this has promoted a lot of clean energy initiatives that will endure for the next 30 years. But if you look at the cost implication of putting this together, it might look like a robust project that needs a robust funding. But the implication of it is that it is something that will endure for several years. And if you look at that to the fossil fuel energy generation, then you begin to see that the investment in clean energy is the next level that all multinational companies in Lagos State must exhibit. And also, before I go, very quickly, I want to recommend hydroelectric for all the multinational companies in Lagos State because of the presence of water that we have in abundance in this our dear state. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for that. I can see Dr. Farouk Onge joining us virtually. Sir, do you want to continue with the sharing? Do you want to continue sharing the panel? Or can I proceed, sir? Okay, I think he's now with us. Permit me to call on Professor Feishara Sunday Omolola. Are you? No. Okay, sorry. I wanted to call you, sir. Since you are on ground with us, kindly make your presentation in a very concise way. Okay. Do you like how many minutes? 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes. So what if not that?
My pleasure to be part of the Lagos Solidarization Conference. My name is Dr. Akinwe Ruwami. Either you have my slides of finding myself in the midst of the stories by replaying I'm an industrial designer in France. Then I'm currently teaching textile design and working up in university. And my research has revolved around how do we develop the textiles and garment industry in Nigeria. And I presented the outcome of my researches at different fora. Last week I was in Association of University of Textiles in Belgium, Germany, to present some of the outcome of my researches. Yes, this evening I will be talking on the labor textile industry transition, tests for multinational companies and local industrial forces. Under the theme of multilateral cooperation and economic labor states, history, challenges, and the chemical pattern part 2. Yes, these are the highlights: production, textile, industry, national companies, multinational companies, pathways to industrial functions. You can see that Nigeria is connected with the remaining multinational companies, and of course, continue to explain that multinational companies are continue to play a significant role in the economy of Nigeria. And it's not limited to textile, which is my area of expertise. In the 1956, that was when the first giant industrial company was established in Nigeria, and many other multinational companies equally find their ways to Nigeria to actually enhance the quantity of textiles. In spite of that, they couldn't meet the Nigerian textile needs. So, continue with the slide. So, as a result, I have to give an overview of the Nigerian textile industry. It's an ongoing work, and I've not completed it, but I'm going to give you just state where I am and just try what I've done is to synthesize literature and so put and visit some remnants of the textile industry we have left in Nigeria, in which most of them are local industry. Those gathered ones are less. As it turns out, we all know that textile companies in Nigeria, after government enterprise or government organization that employ textile industry in Nigeria, happens to be one with about 163 companies and supervise employment to teaming of Nigerians. But unfortunately, because of the socio-economic and many challenges we have in Nigeria, the function that economic moves was playing, we couldn't play it, particularly in Lagos, where we have a chunk of giant textile industry. As of today, there is none that is working. Those ones that are working, they are not even working on capacity. And those that exist, they are working as what do you call it? As substitution. They order for textiles from other developed countries and sell it to us here. So I'm not looking at this should be an advantage to us as a country. If the multinational industry are leaving the shore of Nigeria, don't forget, the multinational companies come to your country, they come with capital, foreign direct investment, they come with skill, they come with many opportunities. Of which there is no way you will employ your people and your people work in the industry. You will get skill, you will get material skills, and many stuff like that. So I'm not looking at what have we been doing as a country. Are the remnants of those international companies participated in anything in the current, in the current textile industry we have in Lagos State? So that is the bottom line of the story, to actually know if the remaining textile companies in Nigeria have actually taken advantage, not really well that the multinational companies are no longer here. Maybe they are taking advantage of the opportunities that the industry actually have for us as a country. Because of my limited time, I don't know why it's so limited, why the historians are taking the whole time. There is no problem. So, in short, the foreign textile companies we have in Nigeria can actually take advantage of the opportunities that we have by embracing technology and at the same time looking for capital, and of course government too can equally support the textile company, I mean the local textile companies we have here, so that we can meet the Nigeria textile needs. I want to thank you for this.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for that succinct presentation, for helping us, because we are running out of time really. And that is also consequential of an additional presentation that we'll be having. Mr. or Professor Feishara Sondemola was supposed to present on Wednesday, but was not here. So we would appreciate if you could please present your paper in 5 minutes. If you could please run through your paper within 5 minutes, so that we can have room for questions and comments. Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry about the limited time. 30 minutes.
15 minutes.
Could you please go ahead, sir?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I am Mr. Feishara Sunday Omolola. I'm presenting on the title Photography in the Economy of Lagos. I want to stand upon some theories. And one, photography at its advent was a skilled occupation involving dexterous and creative craftsmanship, which thrived and earned the practitioners and apprentices much gain. My emphasis here is the economic importance of photography. Then Frosch, 2019, also said concerning photography that it's a cultural industry. So my emphasis here is the industry. And of course, it also doubles as medium for socio-cultural significance. Then the third one is that photography also produces document and disseminate symbols in the form of cultural goods and services, generally, although not exclusively as a commodity. Now, this is also talking about the advertising prowess of photography. Now, what is photography? Simply put, photography is drawing with light. And of all the image making techniques, photography has been found or acknowledged to be the most significant, both in capacity and capability. The early development of photography was in 1839, of course, in France. But in that same year, it was said that somebody from France traveled to Egypt and made documentation of the artifacts in Egypt. And 3 weeks after, those images found their ways into publications in the UK. And from that moment, Europeans began to travel to Egypt and other parts of Africa with the camera. It was also established that there was a pastor, a Scottish Methodist pastor, who in 1856 visited Lagos with a Dogara camera. And so that establishes the fact that from that year, photography, arrived Lagos. And the growth of photographic studio from as early as 1885, that was when the first studio, operated at Itafaji Market, and that was by T. Happin. Then T.Y. Taylor also ran a photography studio in Lagos in a year after, and Holmes, a Ghanaian, also opened, he was a lawyer, but he opened a photography studio in 1897 in Tinubu Street, Lagos. Now, it was said concerning the Lagos market by Nimis. He said, in Nigeria, the photographic giant, anyone wanting to get hold of photographic materials for a reasonable price in West Africa still has to go via Nigeria. And when you are talking about Nigeria as a market, you are talking about Lagos. Endowed with a rich photographic patrimony, the country exports not just products, but photographers to other African countries. And here is a picture of the Kingsway departmental store where, some of those materials were sold. Let me leave theories now to go. D. Olawale Labijo was a photographer. I think he took this picture in his studio in Yes, sir.
Sir, please, if you could please round up within 2 minutes, sir, please.
I will try. So he had, a photography studio also in Lagos in 1895. This is Samuel Ajayi Crowder, I'm sure, taken by one of the photographers in, I think, 1895, thereabout too. This is a photograph of Lagos, precisely Marina, taken by one of the colonial photographers. The same person also took, and let me say something about this. This photograph was produced as, as a postcard. You can see passports there. So that's the economic importance of photography. Then here is...
Sir, please, could you please share the photograph with us? Maybe during the comment and answer question session. We cannot see your slides. We can't see your slides from here. Yes, sir.
All right. I'm sorry. I thought I shared it. Sorry.
If you can also proceed and get it ready during the question and comment session.
All right, I'll do that. So the growth of photography began ever since then, and there were also some companies like the UAC, the West African Publicity Company Limited, who employed services of photographers. Then we also have newspapers who also have photographers in-house. Then we have the Daily Times, Drum Magazine, who this Daily Times and daily newspapers were in the 60s. Then from 1960,
less than 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. From 1960 to 1970, we also have Kingsway having a laboratory for processing photography. Then we have Photographers Association in Lagos. Then we have the current digital platforms also assisting in content creation. And what do they create? Images. Then these are some of the pioneer photographers in Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I do believe you will have time to complete some of those things that you intended to complete, to present during the comment and question session. So the door is open for questions and comments, and we've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes left. So please, we are going to take questions on a general note and answer it. Each question should not be more than 15 seconds, please, so that we can be able to answer. Thank you so much. Okay, I think I can see you first. Go ahead.
Good evening. My question would be a little different from the topic. Now, from our discourse, is there a conspicuous difference between TSCs and MSCs, transnational corporations and multinational corporations? Are there the same, or are there like some disparities between both? Okay, both concepts.
All right, thank you, sir. Noted. I can see you. Can go ahead.
Presentations. My observation, particularly goes to the speaker of the Batsashu. Now, personally, I think we need to put the timeline in proper context because personally, I remember in my siblings, we still were at in the 80s up until the early 90s. So I think they existed the Nigerian government in the 80s is a bit contested. Because when we try to search for the events that actually led to the official exit, it happened in 1987, where the chairperson mismanaged funds and illegally transferred shares. So that was the official exit. But I think it declined, started in the 80s. We actually, but the official exit was sometime in the 90s.
Thank you very much. Question. That comment. Question. Can go ahead.
I want to appreciate all my presenters, although I missed some of them. And so my first comment will be on the first speaker on your paper. I want Leslie. Am I correct? So my name is Dr. Fusina Abdullah. I work for the Bank of Nigeria and ABU. So I think in your paper, but I don't know whether it's what kind of paper it is. Can you tell us your methodology? You should tell us your study, your theory. I didn't hear any of that. I heard all the stories, but I didn't see you emphasizing as research work. Then for the brother on Bata, or we said it's Bata. So in your abstracts, when you write an abstract, you put your methodology, your objectives, your aims. Am I correct? You don't put your aims and objectives. Everything, you don't put any of those things in your abstract. Your abstract is just what you want to do. You understand it? Just what you want to do. So that when somebody picks your abstract and the glasses, we know what you want to do. When you get to your body, you have an objective and say, if the topic you have objectives, you have the problem of the problem, you have that's just one paragraph. Yes, only your aims. Yes, you have to just one paragraph.
All right, thank you. Noted.
No need to put all of them. Then for I would really like to hear more about crosswalk on what we're discussing. I said also to share some of his slides.
Could you please project so that can you hear?
So that we can see more of what Bob has done on photography in Nigeria.
Molola, can you hear her?
Yes, I can hear.
I also missed its own beginning of long presentation as well. So maybe when it's giving comments, you can be able to appreciate your session of it.
All right, thank you very much for the wonderful questions and comments. Any other question, comment before we shift the table to the presenters? No other questions.
The first presenter, who's getting the paper?
Next in Nigeria.
All right. On the first question, TNCs and MNCs, I must admit that I was not looking in the direction of TNC. But when the question popped up, my research quickly shows that TNCs, the difference between TNCs and MNCs lies in their power, in the subsidiaries, that is, in the countries where they spread to. It says that TNCs have a strong base in the subsidiaries, okay? But while MNC have strong base in the home country, that is the mother company, but have little power in the subsidiary and in the countries where they spread to. And I'm beginning to link that to something. If I remember, I would shed more light if there is time. On the issue of abstract map, I'm open to correction, but I think that is subjective. I think, emphasis on think. So I would like to meet you maybe after this presentation to hear more. But I think it is subjective. That is based on disciplines. What I have been familiarized with in the humanities field is that abstract is written the way I've written it. I don't know if you are coming from social science or any other discipline or humanities, and that means I'll be very glad to hear more, because this is what I've been using actually. So I think I've answered the question directed to me. Any other place? Do you want to go ahead? Mr. There's a question posed to you.
Only thing that I would just like to talk about what you said, which is TNC. So TNCs, MNCs, both find themselves outside their host country. But like you said, for TNCs, there is autonomy in decision making for in subsidiaries. For example, a TNC like let's Apple can have Apple in a country like Nigeria. I'm making an example. Nigeria, Apple in, let's say, the United States. The Apple company in Nigeria can choose to make a decision of their own here. And the Apple in the United States can choose to make a decision of their own where they are. But for multinationals, there's always a reference back to the same country. An example I want to give is an example of early multinationals, which provide an idea of what we are talking about here. We have a Dutch media company, for example. We all know that one of the major things that company did was that whenever they wanted to make a major decision, there would always be a reference back to the Netherlands. And because of that, it afforded for more or less the people or the colonies that they were setting up in different parts of the world to always make reference to, okay, we may need to go back and talk to the shareholders. And those shareholders provide that form of understanding. But for TNCs, it's separate. It's separate. That's
all right. Okay. We have a follow-up. We have just 2 minutes. Okay. Could you please share the photograph so that we can just conclude immediately under 1 minute? Mr. Modola.
Can you see it now? Yes, can you see it now?
We cannot see it.
This is my first time of online presentation.
Right.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
I must appreciate our listeners, our audience, for taking the patience to listen to us and for the critical submissions that you made. Thank you, and we look forward to meeting you more and knowing you more. Thank you so much. Oh, we have Dr. Boge. Dr. Boge, can you proceed?